So today we will introduce the French healthcare system and treatment opportunities for international patients. So we have a lot of very interesting speakers, physically and remotely. Remotely, we have Jean-François Gendron from French Healthcare Association and Adrian Rebel from Billy. And maybe I will let you introduce yourself, gentlemen.
Thank you, Cécile. I am Guillaume Huard, CEO of Orpea Middle East.
Thank you, Cécile. I'm Jean-Patrick Lajonchère, CEO of Hospital Group Paris Saint-Joseph in France.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lambert Montevecchi. I'm acting as a sort of ambassador for the Centre François Baclès in Normandy.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jérôme Souastier, and I'm CEO of C3 Medical.
Thank you. So before starting, I would like to have a few words of introduction. As you may know, the French healthcare system is one of the most efficient in the world. Its social security system covers 76.8% of health expenditure. And the good news is that international patients have the opportunity to benefit from this system too. Actually, initiatives have been put in place to give as many people as possible access to excellent French care. And during this conference, several speakers will discuss these opportunities for access to care. So first, I'm very pleased to welcome Jean-François Gendron, who are the president of the French Healthcare Association, and he will present the French Hospital Quality Label and My French Hospital website, two French quality standards. I don't know if you can hear us, Jean-François.
Yeah, very well.
Great. So I leave you the floor.
Okay, so thank you, and I'm very happy to introduce this conference because I think that travel to France for medical reasons will again be widely possible, and we expect, of course, to receive more and more medical travelers in the coming months. So why France? Because French medicine combines therapeutic and technological innovations and a strong network of specialists in every field of medicine. This is especially true for cancer treatment, which is the first reason for medical travel in France, because we have leading cancer centers, for example, and patients also travel to France to consult experts in cardiology, urology, proctology, internal medicine, diabetology, and vascular surgery, and so on. And the French offer is very large. So you speak about the French locality, beyond the excellence of medical treatment. French healthcare facilities are also fully organized and dedicated to answer to international patient needs and to guarantee high-quality services such as bespoke reception, catering to special demands, and efficient communication. The French Hospital Quality Label was designed. It identifies institutions that meet the highest quality standards, like, for example, the American Hospital or Saint-Joseph Institute. And Healthcare Association has also launched a dedicated website, myfrenchhospital.com, search engine intended for foreign patients seeking a hospital in France. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean-François. So now let's move to another intervention. Guillaume, you are CEO of Orpea Middle East, and you will present the French healthcare system with a Middle East prism.
Thank you so much. I would like to share some slides with you. So first of all, let's keep in mind that France is a key player in global healthcare. Can I get the slide?
Yeah. We don't have the slide on this. No, we just can see ourselves, but not the slide. It's okay on the big screen, but for us, it's not the slide. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So France is a leading player in healthcare worldwide, and we're gonna focus on the advantages of the healthcare system. As you have mentioned, Cécile, we are a country with a healthcare system recognized about OECD nations for access to healthcare on the whole territory. Second point I wanted to emphasize is the excellent training that is provided for healthcare professionals and the recognition of the high level of expertise. Healthcare cannot go without a strong research environment, and of course there is a cutting-edge research in numerous fields that are fully internationally recognized. Healthcare and research cannot go without a pharmaceutical industry, and we have also this strong, high-performing pharmaceutical industry fully recognized also with our pharma leaders. And of course, we are talking also about innovation. Care cannot be developed with a high innovation, and a company like Orpea Group has fully integrated the innovation process in all aspects of the care given in our facilities. And finally, we need a strong support, not only from the big groups, but also a strong development at the SME level, small and medium companies, to make sure that an idea developed in a startup can be further developed and profit to the global population. So what I would like now to emphasize are four topics qualifying the healthcare system: excellence, universalism, efficiency, and science-based progress. Excellence, we find it in the big network of our public and private hospitals, with all the bridges that the legislation has brought between private and public hospitals, from the university hospitals to the private hospitals, and with a strong transfer of knowledge from the university hospitals to all type of facility dedicated to the healthcare and to the care given to the population. Universalism is the second word I wanted to emphasize on, because we are not treating the patients only based on their revenue, but France's healthcare system is providing care for any type of person living on the territory. Finally, before going to science-based progress, I wanted to emphasize on the efficiency of the system. If in some hospitals, in some part of the world, you are first asked your credit card when you enter the facility, or you are first given treatment or exams that you don't need, in France, we will always target the dedicated exams, medical imaging exams, biological exams that are required to investigate and build the diagnosis of the patient. And finally, science-based progress, based on the strong integration of medicine and research. Our team are able to make evolve the knowledge on each disease and pathology, and bring the last science-based progress for the patient. And finally, a very important topic, we are providing a patient-centered organization. It's not only direct linked between one patient and one doctor, but the whole Health Allied team is fully involved to make sure that the patient is going to be given the appropriate care. So this is something also that wanted to, for me, that really qualifying the French healthcare system. This is this patient-centered organization. I've given you, as a reminder, we have talked about the integration of research and medicine, and of course I wanted to show you the list of the 13 French Nobel Prize for Physiology, and this is supported by a long tradition of the research organization present in the hospital. A university hospital is not only a hospital, but this is also a research center and an academic center with the university. And from my experience in the region and in France, I think this is a unique kind of system that is, to my opinion, something that we have to be really proud of. We have talked about the Nobel Prize. I wanted to emphasize also the strong support to innovative treatments. Innovative treatments are also developed in the university hospitals, but also in some private hospitals that are fully integrating this aspect. We will talk, of course, of the cancer institutes and the specification of the cancer institute in the healthcare field in France. So we got a lot of first of a kind. First of a kind is what is going to show the dynamic of innovative treatments in France. And from the identification of the genetic cause of Down syndrome at Necker Hospital in 1958, till the first complete clinical remission for a patient with a sickle cell disease by gene therapy, we show that there is a huge dynamic in the medical field, in the surgical field also, developed in our country. I would like to now emphasize the challenge. France has this amazing healthcare system. We are in the context of competitivity with a lot of countries in Europe that also want to develop medical tourism to attract some rich patients from abroad to treat them in the country. And I wanted to emphasize the creation of this website that Jean-François Gendron has mentioned, My French Hospital, mainly presenting the activities of some non-for-profit private hospitals in Paris. But this website, to my opinion, is key to present our expertise. We have, it was mentioned in the last session, we have a strong healthcare system, but we have also a very complicated healthcare system. We have 4 kinds of hospitals: the public hospitals, the cancer institutes, the non-for-profit private hospital, and the for-profit private hospitals. All of them are able to welcome and treat the patients in their French facilities, but from abroad it's not easy to identify which hospital for which pathology. Someone can be key on this topic, and I'm very happy to say hello to Dr. Pierre Oupicchian. Pierre Oupicchian is the regional counselor for health in the Middle East for the French embassies, and is able to connect every request received in our French embassies for treatment with the French hospitals. I was in this position before joining Orpea, and it was a daily part of our work to connect the GCC patients with the French hospitals, and with the support of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Interior, also to get the visa for the patients who needs this treatment. We got a very successful approach for the Kuwaiti patients, for instance, going to a very famous Parisian Cancer Institute. The duration of the visa was only for 6 months, and based on a workshop that we got with the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs and French Ministry of Interior, we could enlarge the duration of the visa for the cancer patients going to France to 9 months. So giving them the possibility to get the whole treatment and not to have to go back to Kuwait to renew the touristic visa. So that was something very important point, and that shows that also very important topic for me, that the different ministries in the French government have fully understood the dynamic that we want to develop on this topic. And finally, I wanted also to mention to be given the right hospital for the right treatment, that we have now a strong network of GCC alumni. France has decided to train some GCC Gulf doctors in the French residency program, and almost 400 of them are now back in their country after completing the residency program and the fellowship, and now are some ambassadors of the French healthcare system, and definitely we need them to be fully recognized by our embassies to also help us identify some patients that could be sent to France for dedicated treatment. So these are the points I wanted to express this morning, and we'll be happy to later answer some of your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guillaume. Yes, I have 2 questions for you. Quick question. Do the hospitals you have mentioned have some private conciergerie services, and do all French hospitals offer some individual rooms?
That's a very important point that you are mentioning. Depending on the nature of the hospital, I would say that the private hospitals, for-profit or non-for-profit, has fully understood that we cannot provide medical treatment to the Khaliji GCC patients, to the Gulf patients, without also bringing a high level of hospitality. And hospitality, to my opinion, is going to be really key to attract some GCC patients in the Parisian or French hospitals, because most of the time we have to keep in mind that one Gulf patients going to France for treatment will never go by themselves. They will always be accompanied by their families, and sometimes we just do not do not realize that when one patient is arriving, he's going to be accompanied by 3 or 4 members of the family that are going to spend the whole duration of the treatment with the beloved patient. So this conciergerie service, of course, are not only useful, but we need them. We need them. We cannot do without them. And I think this is going to make the difference between a public hospital that is not using this type of service, that will not dedicate a single room for GCC patient. In the French public hospital, single room are dedicated for patients who need special care or for infectious patients. But this is not a hospitality rule, while in the private hospital it's easier to get a single room.
Okay, thank you. I had other questions, but I will keep them for the end, because I didn't tell you, but do not hesitate to write your question on the chat if you're following us remotely. And we will ask them at the end after all the interventions. And if you are with us physically, just raise your hand and we will let you talk. So now I'm very pleased to introduce Jean-Patrick Lajonchère. You are General Manager of Saint-Joseph Hospital in Paris, and you will present the care opportunities in France and in Saint-Joseph to illustrate the excellence of French care.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all who are listening to today. So the Groupe Hospitalier Paris Saint-Joseph is located in Paris, in 14 area, and in Le Plessis-Robinson, just around Paris, for the second site. The Paris site is a generalist site with many pathology treated, and the Plessis-Robinson site is essentially cardiothoracic for adult and children center. So who are we? We are a private non-profit organization, very close with French Service Public, and we have a multi-profile, top-quality healthcare, I say that. We have an emergency department that is open 24/7 a year, and we develop high-quality technical platform, especially in biology and microbiology, in anatomy pathologic and in imaging, with 4 MRI, 5 CT scanner, 1 TEP scan, and 2 gamma camera. We have 60 beds of intensive care and more with cardiologic intensive care and neurologic intensive care, and we have a very important multidisciplinary approach with center and specialized institutes. We have many international ranking distinctions, essentially from Newsweek, and you can see on the screen for 3 years, and included last year with COVID-19, where that was very difficult. So we are very distinguished on in general. We are the 5th in France in the ranking of Newsweek, and with Marina Long we are the first on the cardiopediatrics, by example. Some key figures. We host 90,000 patients a year. We have 800 beds. We have around 1,200 cancer treatment, 3,600 births a year, 67 heart and lung transplants, and 3,600 employees with 600 medical doctors. So with 600 medical doctors, we have really a very important expertise on every field of medicine. If I want to have a special spot on some specialties, on glaucoma and on proctology center, we are first in France on these 2 specialties. We are since 2007. Oh, that's better. 2007, we are expert center in robotic surgery, especially on urology, but not enough. By example, on gynecology too. We are leader in laser technology. We are reference for cardiology and vascular treatment. I haven't said that, but we have 15,000 treatments on cardiovascular a year. And we have an important research center with many awards in international congresses and publications. And we are a top-level maternity unit, very well known on Paris. what do we provide? On congenital heart defect, and we will have a conference tomorrow for to develop this. Really, we are at the high level, international level. We are now the 5 expert centers, 2 in the world for surgical treatment on thromboembolic pulmonary hypertension. All this in Maryland Hospital. That's a very, very international, well-known center. What could we say? Sometimes new technologies is the support of very simple or very difficult problems. By example, the comprehension between the people, and it's not easy to speak all language in a medical unit, and we have developed a special application on smartphone, and that's called HostSpeech. And every language you have, maybe not the more, the less speak in the world, but every important language you have, you can be translated in French and speak with your nurse or with your medical doctors, and it's very, very well noted by patients. So only to have a special smile on research and innovation technologies, but I think we are able to do better when we speak medical pathologies. On teleconsultation services, our world-class physicians are trained to provide remote consultation, and we do. And we are entitled to deliver international prescription and medical certificates in accordance with local legislation. So this hospital is the newest of Paris. All the renovation has been done for the old 10 years ago, and we have developed many gardens inside of the hospital, and like a village, by example, and patients do like it very much because it's very, very pleasant. Not only medicine, but environment of medicine. So we have a multilingual team, French, English, Arabic. We deliver in less than 48 hours free, transparent and detailed quotation. We are responsible for international patients for the initial contact and examination of the medical file to the patient's discharge and the organization of any necessary postoperative care. And we offer medical checkups. So, here's my conclusion. Very thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. I just have one question for you. You mentioned technological innovation as a leverage for improving the quality of international patients' care. Can you tell us a bit more about what answer do French technologies provide in this regard, except HostSpeech, because you already told us?
Yes, very thank you. For now 5 years, we have developed artificial intelligence laboratory with more than 10 applications on cardiac to understand exactly the cardiac flow, the blood flow, on neurology, on prevision of born in the maternity, and our teams work very hard on these artificial intelligence projects. It's an example in our imaging department. We are an expert center for General Electric with validating our Emirati sequences of neurology, and we enhance the technology on this field.
Thank you. So now I leave the floor to Lambert Montevecchi. You are International Relation Advisor for the Centre François Baclès Cancer Center, and you will talk about the expertise of the Caen Cancer Center for the care of international patients, particularly in proton therapy, but you will talk it much more better than me, so I will leave you the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, first of all, I think we should be very grateful for French Healthcare and Business France and Pavilion France to host us here in this international arena in Dubai during Arab Health. So it's really a great honor, a great privilege to introduce you to the Centre François Baclès. So the Centre François Baclès is situated in Normandy in the city of Caen. And I also want to thank the two previous speakers for having told us about the excellence of the French healthcare system. We're relatively new players. The Centre François Baclès has hosted international patients in the past, but not many. And we're also, like Saint-Joseph, a non-profit hospital, which I think for patients traveling abroad to get treated is definitely a plus. And we're also part of Unicancer Association, which I will spend some time describing because it's a rather unique organization. So we're a small hospital. There's about 1,000 employees, about 200 beds, so it's a very human size. We treat yearly about 28,000 patients. And there are 7,500 new cancer cases. So this hospital is entirely dedicated to cancer. I'll talk to you a bit about proton therapy and radiotherapy. We have 550 patients enrolled in clinical trials. Yes, I mentioned that already. We have about 1,000 staff. So there are two locations. This is the picture you see is the main building. And about 1.5 kilometers away, we have the proton therapy site, which I will talk about. We're also ranked in the top 100 specialty hospitals in the world by Newsweek in 2021. I won't spend a lot of time on this. French hospitals are already at very high standards with HAS and the different accreditation systems. But these are two accreditations that François Baclès has obtained, which are not so common. So OECI is a comprehensive cancer center, which means the patient has access in one location to just about everything he needs to treat his cancer. OZOMA is a less known accreditation centered on breast cancer. And again, it's looking for the excellence of care, of treatment in some very small details, actually, of how the woman coming to get treated will be handled by the nursing staff and by the doctors. So yes, I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about Unicancer. I don't think it's known enough around the world. So first, it's a very unique organization. It's made up of 18 cancer centers spread across the country. And they share a triple mission. Mission one, treatment of patients. And we're talking rather big numbers. I mean, France is not a huge country, but we're talking more than 500,000 patients per year, which is a considerable amount. I have numbers from 2018, so I don't have updated numbers, but it's almost 550,000. And in terms of consultations, it's more than 1 million. So we're talking a large organization spread out geographically. You can see on the slide all the main cities of France will have one. And as Guillaume explained, they're usually right across the street from a university hospital, which is interesting in terms of training and research. So Unicancer's mission is basically to fight cancer in these hospitals, to do research and to train doctors and health workers. I told you François Baclès has about 1,000 employees altogether. Unicancer is about 21,000 employees. The revenue is 2.5 billion euros. And what's really interesting, which is rarely mentioned, is that in terms of clinical trials in oncology, it's in the number of clinical trials, it's the #1 in Europe. So we can be proud of that as well. And it's, I think, ranked 5th in the world in terms of publications in oncology. So they're very prestigious members in Unicancer, Gustave Roussy, Curie, and we are less known. We're the Centre François Baclès. We have a rather extraordinary radiotherapy department. I think it's 3rd or 4th in the country in terms of equipment. And we're also equipped with proton therapy, which I'll describe briefly. So what can we offer to foreign patients? Well, first of all, I think the human size. It's a small hospital, so the Centre François Baclès has always been recognized for its family feeling. It's a comprehensive cancer center, so it's fully equipped with all that is needed to cure different types of cancer. And it also has this very unique proton therapy site. There are only 3 sites in France, 1 in Paris, 1 in Nice, and 1 in Caen. And it's very surprising that cities like Lille or Bordeaux or Lyon don't have a proton therapy site. It's also a very new one. It was opened in 2019. It doesn't treat all types of cancers. There are some restrictions, medical and scientific restrictions. So I think apart from that, yes, I've said all this already. It's a state-of-the-art installation. We have doctors who are highly trained in proton therapy. We're looking to establish partnerships, international partnerships with other cancer centers around the world to exchange, not only in proton therapy, but in cancer, and possibly do research, combined research at the international level. I have a video which I will spare you, and last but not least, yeah, why should patients go to Normandy and not to Paris? Paris is probably better for shopping, but Normandy is a beautiful, extremely dynamic region, which is one of the reasons proton therapy ended up in Normandy and not in other regions. Also has a lot of UNESCO sites. It's very peaceful, so I would encourage any international patients seeking to get treatment to contact us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And you said proton therapy expertise end up in Caen, and Nice and Paris, but not in other large cities like Lyon, Lille and Bordeaux. Why?
Well, that's a really good question. I myself don't know. I think it's an enormous investment. I think it's in the region of 100 million euros. So in some countries, that's not a lot of money, but for the French healthcare system, that's a huge amount of money. So the region was heavily involved and financed the project. There was also a huge driver from the scientific side, because the Centre François Baclès is, like many of the Unicancer hospitals, on a kind of science park with the CHU, the university hospital across the street. I'm not sure of the numbers, but I think there's in excess of like 10,000 people, working on scientific projects. So it's a combination of political and academic and medical will to get this project to come to life. And there's one last thing I'd like to say about proton therapy. On the site, there's also a project for Adron Therapy, which is even less common, much less common than proton therapy. And so in the medium term, we hope to be opening up also Adron Therapy, both for, in the first instance, academic and scientific research, and then later for the treatment of patients with some of the most up-to-date technology in the world.
Good news. And another question, you talk about Unicancer, and apart for your membership to Unicancer network, do you have international cooperations agreements with other healthcare organizations in other countries?
Yes, it would really make no sense. You know, times have been difficult with COVID for medical travel, medical tourism, so it would make no sense to just aim for that. Plus, you know, as we've underlined before, we are non-profit hospitals, so we're not eager to get foreign patients to necessarily make more money. It's just to offer them this opportunity of treatment. So as part of the vision of the management team in Baclès, we want to establish international partnerships with other countries, with other healthcare institutions, and with other cancer centers. So recently, at the end of last year, we were very happy to be able to sign an agreement with Vietnam, for example. There's a large cancer hospital there, Hôpital K, and we've signed an MOU with them to, as I explained before, to exchange in terms of research, training, and treatment with Vietnam. We're also working with Romania, and we have a few other prospects. So yes, we do have other international cooperation agreements with other countries and other ministries of health, and we're hopeful to build some in this part of the world as well.
Okay, thank you. So now let me introduce you Jérôme Soistier. You are CEO of C3 Medical, which offers a global offer for insurance companies, mutual, and companies aiming to improve the health of their policy holders or their employees while reducing their costs. So I'll leave you the floor.
Yes, good morning, everybody. So first of all, let me again thanks the French Healthcare Association for providing the opportunity to talk to our partners, to our customers, to our prospects during those two great events that are Arab Health and the Expo of Dubai. So as you said, I'm Jérôme Soistier. I'm heading C3 Medical. We're a medical service company, and basically we are partnering with the best French hospitals to try to provide the best of the care to patients worldwide, and also expert consulting to hospitals worldwide, leveraging the competencies of our partners. So I will discuss three topics. First is why it has been discussed already, but maybe precise a little bit more. Why is France a great country to go and get some treatment, high-level treatments? And why is it a good country to get consulting for hospitals across the world? Second is what is needed to enable patients to get some high-level treatments in France. What is the organization that is needed to ensure that this is successful? And third is what we, as a C3 Medical, propose in order to meet these objectives. So if we go back to why France is a great country for care, for medical travel, and for consulting, just a few things to add on to what has been said already. Well, in France, a lot of world first are coming from France. And since 1958, more than 150 world firsts are coming from French hospitals and French doctors, which is pretty amazing. And we have quite a few significant innovations that we've seen across the years. The latest ones we can talk about Marie Curie and Pierre Curie, who invented what gave birth to radiotherapy that we can see today, a family with more than 3 Nobel Prizes. But in more recent times, the first artificial heart from the Carmat artificial heart with the Professor Alain Carpentier, or the full total hand transplant that also has been done, which is the first premiere by the Professor Dubernard. So a lot of innovations in health that have taken place in France. In France, about 12% of GDP is spent on healthcare, which is quite a significant number, and we have some general hospitals since the 17th century. So there's a long history of medicine in France. Another thing that is important regarding that is it has been said, but France has a very specific approach to care. In France, we say care comes before money, meaning that the first thing we do is we treat patients. We treat patients all the same, meaning patients coming from the outside or patients being French. We provide the same level of care and the same level of expertise. And the other topic which I think is important for international patients or international partners is that in France we do not want to treat all the patients that want to come. Why? Because we only treat when we believe that the French hospitals can bring some added value to those patients. Usually in our activity, we refuse, I would say, about 2/3 or maybe 1/4 of the patients that are asking to come to France. Why? Because our partner hospitals believe or tell us that the treatment that the patients want to undertake is available in his country. So there is no way for him to travel. It can be a cancer protocol, it can be some surgery. We believe, and our partners believe, that if the patient doesn't need to travel, if he can be treated in his country, then we should push for the treatment to take care in the country. Second is, obviously, if we cannot add any value to the life of a patient, most of our partners will refuse to treat the patient. In some countries, if a patient is going to die, some hospitals are still going to accept the patient for money reasons. In France, it's something that very seldom happens. Most of the hospitals, all the hospitals we work with, will refuse to take on a patient if they know, if the specialist team knows that they will not be able to add any value to the life of this patient. So this relation to care, this fairness or this transparency, I think is very specific to French healthcare, and I think is worth mentioning. So it has been said also, but I will re-insist on a topic regarding the network of hospitals and clinics in France. So it's complex network, as we have discussed, and we have, I think, more than 3,000 hospitals in France, 1/3 being public hospitals. So we have the public hospitals, or PHP, which are public hospitals in Paris, which offer some, which are general hospitals, but also are very, very strong in some specific topics. Among others, like transplants. It can be heart transplants, it can be kidney transplants, but also expertise on diabetes, severe diabetes, with specific centers and departments. And then we have some specific hospitals which are smaller, which are private or semi-private, which are very strong also on some specific topics. So we had two presentations, one by the Groupe Hospitalier Saint-Joseph, who has talked about his expertise on cardiac surgery, on gynecologics, on urology, on a lot of specific topics, with a completely an organization which is dedicated to international patients. We talk about the Caen François Bacles Center, but also I want to mention Institut Curie, which is also a comprehensive cancer center. It's been one of the first cancer center created in the world, with the first proton therapy center created also in the world. And today the Institut Curie is treating a lot of patients coming from the world, from across the world, for different type of cancers. Can be pediatric cancers, sarcomas, breast cancers, a lot of complex cancer. So one important thing about the Institut Curie is the fact that the Institut Curie is working together, is having worked together as a big research center and doctors, which is also something that we can say about the French hospital system, is that university, research centers, and clinics and hospitals are working very closely together. So this is those structures that you see here are really state-of-the-art structures. We have, as it has been said, we have all those structures are certified by the French Health Authority. We now have some rankings in France about medical structures in different newspapers, and more and more medical structures are entering into the world rankings. It has been also said by the people before me. So all those structures, and I think it's pretty new, and it's important to mention, are very, very eager to export or to bring their knowledge and their services to the world. Obviously, care is one aspect which is important, and being able to provide best of healthcare to foreign patients in France in the different pathologies that we have discussed. But it's not only care that those structures are looking for, and they also want to transfer or to exchange with international hospitals around topics such as training, and we are very eager to train some international doctors, international nurses, international paramedical staff, and most of those hospitals we work with in France are very excited or very eager to develop this activity. We talk also about consulting or helping clinics or hospitals to develop some new projects. This can be important, or this is important in the area of oncology, for example, where we see in countries around here that there are some significant oncology projects. But in order to build an oncology center, well, you need to define a strategy, you need to define what kind of cancer you want to treat, you need to think about what kind of services or treatment you want to implement. Do you want to implement radiotherapy, proton therapy, research centers? So this consulting, French hospitals can provide very high level of consulting to those hospitals in the region. And finally, research cooperation, because today you cannot research on your side only. It's very important to develop bridges between research departments from France with other countries to be able to share all this data. And obviously, all those French organizations are also today leveraging the latest in technologies, as it has been presented to us: artificial intelligence, genetics, nuclear medicine, and from all stage of a patient care pathway, from analysis at the beginning with laboratories which are more and more sophisticated, all the way to rehabilitation, management of palliative cares. So how can we ensure, how do we make it possible that this kind of cooperation is working properly between international patients and the best of the French healthcare? There are a few things that are very important, and it has been a little bit discussed about previously when we talk about conciergerie. It's true that if you want to provide a good support to international patients when they come and get treatment abroad, first of all, you need to be able to prevent, or to orientate, or to direct them correctly. It's important that you receive good medical information, recent medical information, that you have a direct contact with the doctor locally to be able to address or to define where you're going to send the patient. If you need to receive the patient, or if basically you're not going to be able to do anything for the patient. So it's very important to have this front desk, I would say, that can receive the medical information, review those medical information with a specialist, and then orientate or direct the patient towards the right clinic or the right service. This is also true, or it's very important also to be able to do that from distance. Today, there is a teleconsultation that exists, so it's a good way to be able to discuss with the patient before he comes, to have a better visibility upon his condition, in order to confirm the diagnostic, maybe, and the way where the patient is going to be directed. Second is optimization, because coming to France or going abroad for medical treatment is not an easy task. First of all, people get a little bit anxious. You have some administrative issues that you need to fix, visa. Then all the logistic issues that you also need to organize. It can be transportation, it can be hotels, apartments, taking care of the families that is coming with the patient, getting some medication, and being able to really ensure that the care pathway is going to be structured correctly so that everything goes smoothly. Again, you need to think that the patient is away from home by himself, maybe with his family, for undertaking usually serious surgery. So you need to ensure that things are organized correctly. Then when it's organized, it needs to be coordinated. When the care pathway is going to take place, then things need to happen. Transportation needs to be here. The hospital needs to be booked. Everything needs to be taken care of so that everything is happening properly. Finally, it's cost optimization, because even though we say in France care is coming before money, cost undertaking medication abroad costs a lot of money. So it's important that we make or that we ensure that it costs as less as possible. And how do we do that? Basically, we try to work with the medical teams in France to provide or to propose the best optimized pathway. So we will ensure that the patient is going to stay as little as possible in the hospitals. We're going to facilitate his exit to a hotel, to an apartment, or back home, to ensure that basically he doesn't have to spend too much money in non-necessary cares. But for that, it's important to be with him. It's important to support him with our medical teams, to make him feel confident that if he gets out of the hospitals, he can get rehabilitation in another structure that is going to be cheaper for him. Okay, so this is the kind of services or the kind of action or the kind of support that is important to provide to patients when they come and get treatment abroad, so that the care pathway is going to be successful and optimized for everybody, for the patient, but also for the payer, because very often the patient is not very often, but often the patient is not the payer. The payer can be an insurance company, the payer can be an institution, the payer can be a company. So it's important to work on both aspects, on the quality aspect and on the price aspect. So C3 Medical in all that, what do we do? Well, we're trying to make that happen. And so we, on one way, we help French hospitals to sell or to provide consulting services to hospitals in foreign countries. And we also help international patients to come and get treatment in France. So we have a different direction or different departments that we provide. One is medical direction. So we have a medical department that is going to review the medical files front to ensure a good direction or a good orientation of the patient. We're managing all the administrative and the financial process of a care pathway, which is an important process. We are also communicating, providing support, organizing the logistics for the patients, ensuring that he gets the best experience that he can get undertaking care in France. And we do that with a multicultural team, because it's very important when you have a patient coming from Saudi Arabia or from Dubai. It's not requiring the same kind of support than a patient coming from China or from another country in terms of culture, in terms of language, in terms of habits. And you need to be able to answer to those needs and to provide customized or individualized support, which is what we try to do. And just a few figures about who we are. 10 years of experience. We have offices in different countries in the world. We work with plus 40 healthcare partners in France from all kind of partners. And it can be hospital, clinics, rehabilitation center, laboratories. We manage or we follow around 500 patients per year, and we work with insurance companies, corporates, and institutions from worldwide. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. I have two questions for you. You spoke about cost optimization, and you insisted on that point. How does this concretely apply to international care pathways?
Well, the most important thing is to provide high quality of care. So, which is always what we are looking for when we receive a request from a patient to follow a care pathway in France. It's to identify the best medical team to treat his pathology and the best clinic or the best structure. Second, in order to optimize the cost, you have several steps. First step is to ensure that you get all the right information up front, so that you are able to orientate the patient towards the right teams. Because if you don't have the right information, then you may orientate him to the wrong team, the wrong hospital, or you may have him come when he shouldn't have come. So it's very important up front to review closely the medical file to ensure that you've got the right orientation. Second is really, as I said, is to work with the medical team to try to have the best care pathway, meaning to reduce at maximum the hospitalization time, which is anyway something that most of the hospitals in France are doing, trying to reduce the time of hospitalization. So the way to do that is to provide the right support around the hospitalization, to be able to take the patient out of the hospital as if he was a a French citizen, he has a family, he has a home, so he can get out of the hospital pretty easily when he can. For international, it's different because they're by themselves, they don't have a home. So you need to be here to create for them all the environment that will make them get out of the hospital early by providing some care in a hotel or in an apartment, having a nurse that is going to come, organizing a session with the kinesiotherapist outside of the hospital, organizing all this care pathway outside of the hospital, and finally, it's to ensure that the patient can go to his country, back to his country as quickly as possible. So it's helping him or his doctor to identify how the post-treatment can be done in his country, so that he doesn't have to stay in France, and also to use technology then to avoid travel for controls and do that by teleconsultation, for example. Okay, so it's really at each stage of the care pathway, trying to involve technologies, specific support, logistical organization to ensure that it costs as little as possible to the payer, without putting into jeopardy the quality of the treatment and the morale of the patient.
Thank you for this explanation.
Welcome.
And could you maybe illustrate a successful partnership or cooperation between foreign hospital and a French one?
Yes, so we have maybe the latest one we had is with Curie in Tanzania, for example. So Institut Curie has developed a lot of activities in the cancer with international cancer centers, and they have delivered a strong mission with the Aga Khan Foundation in Tanzania to help the implementation of palliative cares, for example, which is really a key strength of French cancer centers. How you help patients to go through their treatment, and so they have worked to implement very strong palliative care units and departments within several hospitals in Tanzania, together with the Aga Khan Foundation. So this is one kind of partnership. Another partnership is helping, for example, the implementation of a radiotherapy center in a Kazakhstanese clinics and hospitals by providing support to do that. So this kind of consulting is something that more and more clinics and hospitals from France are willing to deliver to improve the local expertise.
Okay, thank you. So now let me introduce you our last speaker, Adrian Rebel, who are CEO of Billy, and he will present Billy's teleconsultation application, which allows French healthcare professionals to take care of international patients. I don't know if you can hear us, Adrian.
I can hear you.
Okay, I will manage your slides, so just tell me next, and I will move on the next slide.
So first of all, I would like to apologize for not being here in Dubai, but unfortunately for medical reasons, I couldn't move, but I'm fine, nothing serious. And before introducing Billy and our offer, I will start by introducing myself. My name is Adrian Rebel. I'm the co-founder of Medicam Platform, which was created in 2017, and we are specialized in medical treatment of planned and foreign patients, whatever the pathology, from cancer treatment to cosmetic surgery. You can move to the next slide. In few figures, Medicam is more than 100 hospital and clinic partners in the world, more than 5,000 patients treated since the beginning. And we are now 16 employees today, and we raised 1.2 million euros a few months ago. At the beginning of the COVID, At the beginning of the COVID, we quickly understood that we needed to digitalize our process for B2B and B2C customers. With the impossibility of flying, we created a fully digitalized platform with teleconsultation as a foundation around our health offer for international patients. That's how Billy was born a few months ago, with a very complementary services launched by Medicam with a strong B2B focus. One of Billy's services is our medical teleconsultation platform for international patients with a French doctor. You can move to the thank you very much. market is structured around two main segments. You can find the light medicine with surgery and aesthetic medicine, AV medicine with oncology or cardiology treatment, and general medicine like checkup and teleconsultation now. And we wish to highlight the excellence of French medicine. Our existing patients can now stay in touch with their doctor in France, and our platform gives access to a French doctor from all over the world without having to fly. Our patients come from all over the world, from expatriates, individual businessmen, or people seeking treatment in France because of the quality of care. And we have a wide variety of client profiles. There is also economic advantage depending on the country, because the price of the consultation in the United States, for example, is high compared to teleconsultation with a French doctor. The French doctor touch, as we say, are popular with American patients only. The main reason found by a survey of our patients in 80% of cases is to have access to the excellence of French medicine. Our clients inform themselves and do extensive research on internet before choosing a specialist now. And you can consult on video a French doctor from almost all countries like Algeria, Morocco, Canada, Senegal, United States. I say almost because in China we have not deployed a specific server. Today only 70% of international patients wish to make a video consultation with a French doctor. Just in a few months, we have already reached 2,500 teleconsultations per month, and we are also deploying Billy in a French hospital as a dedicated tool for international patient management. If you can move to the next slide, please, Cécile. On our Billy platform, you can find almost all specialties, like pediatrician, oncologist, orthopedic surgeon, general practitioner, gynecologist, or urologist. We have 3 internal doctors who take care of patients with their daily health problems. All the doctors who enter on Billy are licensed as a doctor of medicine and registered with the French National Medical Council, Conseil de l'Ordre in France. Our referral doctors recommend trusted colleagues in their specialty, in their country or elsewhere in the world. This is how doctors can get to know us and decide to apply on Billy to share their knowledge around the world. We have an internal scientific advisory board, and this allows us to extend our network of doctors and healthcare institutions every day to offer more and more services to our patients in France, of course, but also abroad. If you can move to the next slide, please. In addition to being able to consult the doctor on video, the patient and the doctor have a number of tools at their disposal during the teleconsultation, like in France. With our tools, all the doctor can prescribe a prescription or a care sheet if the patient is European, for example, and they can also talk to each other via chat on the right side of the teleconsultation screen and share documents or photos very easily. All the reports and documents created by doctors during the teleconsultation will be available directly from the application. They can consult them at any time. The patient can share documents with the doctor they have chosen before, after, and during the teleconsultation. It's very useful for neurologists, for example. Of course, we are extremely vigilant about the security of the data. And in order to offer the highest level of confidentiality, we use the technology that allow us to secure the data through end-to-end encryption. So at Billy, we respect and protect your privacy. All the exchanges between you and the doctor are strictly confidential, as well as your health information and medical data. Only the patient and the doctor will have access to them. We will never sell your data to anyone, and we will never use it for a commercial purpose. All the health documents are recorded on our digital health result for better tracking on the physician side and on the patient side via our secure platform. You can move to the other one, please. Yeah. Here you can see the dashboard of the doctor's side, on the doctor side. We work on the UX and UI with doctor and patient before developing this panel. As soon as he logs in, the doctor has a global view of his schedule with his patient in the virtual waiting room of patient. We have also developed a very popular feature for our patients, the medical chat. And the doctor answer your question in less than 2 hours on the secure messaging system. The patient can also send photos, for example, in the secure way on the chat. It's like WhatsApp, but for secure with the doctor. We have a third tool on the medical care in the way of an intelligent form to organize the treatment or medical stay by asking for a quotation or recommendations of specialists for a specific pathology in France, for example. We believe each doctor will be able to exchange with his patient before his trip, for example. The first contact, even in video, reassure the patient and allow a more specific treatment with a global vision of the patient before he travels. In case of the treatment, our teleconsultation tool allows us a quick follow-up of the patient for the post-operative surgery, for example. At any time, the doctor can follow his patient in a personalized way with the patient file. This is a function where we find the shared documents, the health forms, for example, PET scan, MRI, and the doctor can also note his observation for a better follow-up of the patient. If you can move to the next slide. Our teleconsultation tool is an important asset that allows us to increase our services around the teleconsultation. We support French companies and startups in managing the health of their employees in France and abroad. We have developed a global solution dedicated to employees to improve their health and well-being on a daily basis. I'm talking obviously about teleconsultation, but even we developed a secure 24/7 platform for employees and their families, an unlimited 7-day-a-week doctor chat plus support, and today we currently answer over 200 questions per day. We have a health support included in France and abroad. We can make a recommendation of specialists who are experts in their field. We just launched our services of interpretation of medical results, for example, an interpretation of your scanner of your blood test or MRI, and we give access to negotiated rates for our patients. We take care as well to the organization of medical intervention from A to Z in France and abroad. We took care about 5,000 patients from the beginning, and we have a multilingual dedicated care team assistance 7/7 by phone to be assisted in a request. We have also in-house a care team with a multilingual doctor and nurses. This is represents 5 full-time people, and the number of the employees should double in the very short time. And I forget the last feature, our baby. We have developed a mental health offer which will be launched in few weeks. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for the French Healthcare Association and Business.
Thank you, Adrien. I just have one question for you. Can you tell us why is teleconsultation very important before leaving your country of residence?
It's very important for our clients to make a contact with the doctor before traveling. And leaving their country of residence to be treated in France, for example. In the case of surgery, the patient can ask any question he or she wishes to the doctor or the anesthetist, for example. For the doctors, the information provided during the teleconsultation is very precious and useful. And as soon as the patient returns or go back home, the follow-up is digital in the form of video, and this is always more present than it's more pleasant than the telephone or email, for example. It's easier.
Okay, thank you. So now we have a few minutes for the question part. I don't know if we have some question from the chat. No question. Are there any question in this room or no? Okay, so I have some. So maybe Guillaume Huard, I have two questions. Why would an Emirati patient be treated in a French hospital? Because aren't Emirati hospitals able to treat their national patient?
That's a good question. That's a difficult question also, because what you're underlying here is the complete change of game brought by the pandemic. Before the pandemic, we were signing, I was occupying the position of Dr. Pierre Oupicchian as the counselor of the French embassies in the Middle East, and we were signing some agreements between Department of Health of Abu Dhabi for the international patients to send some Emirati patients to the French hospitals. We signed with Paris Hospitals Foundation, with Saint Joseph Hospital, with Gustave Roussy Institute, and we got in 2018 some very first good results with creation of revenue for these hospitals. And in 2020, when the world closed, all the Emirati patients, all the Saudi patients, or the Kuwaiti patients that were treated abroad went repatriated in their countries. So, of course, they didn't stop the treatment for these patients repatriated in their countries. And after the pandemic, even if the pandemic is not totally finished, from the first contact I get with my former stakeholders, with the former stakeholders I was discussing with at DOH, Department of Health of Abu Dhabi, or International Division of the Patients at Dubai Health Authority, all of them told us, we realized that we can treat our patients in our country, and most of them told us, I'm not sure that we want to send the patients abroad again, because this is very costly. We have to invite all the families, and we have some hospitals on site that can treat the patients. So, having said that, I'm not trying to ruin the conference. I'm just trying to bring some highlights of what I've been working on and what I'm working on now. I still think that for some very specialized type of care, we have mentioned Adron Therapy, we have mentioned proton therapy, we have mentioned very highly specialized cancer treatment. We have mentioned also some highly specialized cardiological treatment with Marie-Laine Long and the Saint Joseph Hospital. I think that for this very specialized, dedicated kind of treatment, there will still be a room for the GCC, for the Gulf patients. But why would the patient go to France for a hip replacement when it can be done in the country, when the post-acute rehabilitation can be also done in the country? This is definitely a question that the French hospital that want to treat GCC patients must have in mind.
Okay, thank you. You want to react, Jean-Patrick?
Yes, thank you. What has been to analyze when somebody wants to send a patient abroad is not only the quality of doctors. An hospital, one treatment is not only a doctor's affair. It's a doctor affair, but not only. And so what has been to analyze is how are the nurses, how are the technologies, how are the collaboration between doctors? And when we built institutes or centers, by example on endometriose, endometriose is a very difficult pathology to be analyzed with multiple indications, and so that has to be analyzed to do that. It's a specialization affair, but it's also a multidisciplinary affair. And what I want to say, in the world, there are not so many systems where doctors have a clinical approach. Very often, and we see that in many systems, most time you have biology, you have imaging, and not so often a clinical exam and a clinical approach of the patient. And I'm sure everybody that in France you will find this.
Okay, thank you. So I have a question to go further, Jean-Patrick Lajonchère. What kind of guarantees of quality for international patients care French hospitals at the one you run are able to offer?
I could have answered to that. Really, I'm in great confidence to the French doctors with the clinical analysis, and it's the more important for me. When I go at a doctor and when he speaks to me, when he asks questions to me, when he makes an examination, I'm sure that his diagnostic will be on the right way. So here is why I give the advice to send patients in France.
Thank you. I have a question for you, Lambert Monteleschi. What would you consider to be your main competitive advantages in the medical travel industry?
Thank you. Well, as I said before, we're new players, so we're discovering as we're moving along. I touched on it briefly. We're a small hospital, and I think that's a major added value for somebody coming from abroad. We touched on that point of what it means for a foreign patient to get on a plane, if COVID will allow him to get on a plane, to get his visa, to come with his family. We're talking about cancer in our case, and that's a rather long stay. Proton therapy means that the patient would stay not weeks, but probably months for his treatment. He cannot fly back and forth between the treatments. So your question, what are competitive advantages? The human size, the fact that when you have cancer, you tend to have psychological side effects, and being in a green place like Normandy is probably a nice and peaceful place to relax. And last but not least, the fact that you don't want to be traveling from one location to another, and because Baclès is a comprehensive cancer center, it means it has everything on one site, including proton therapy. So those were the 3 points I'd like to underline.
Okay, thank you. I think we have a question, yes.
Combining the treatment in France with prevention locally and follow up after the stay in France. Thank you.
Thank you. Who want to react?
You didn't address the question to me, but I'd like to just say one thing. For example, I mentioned Vietnam. We have a cooperation agreement with Vietnam. Before we can even think of having Vietnamese patients come to France, including because of COVID, we've set up RCP, which is a Réunion de Concertation Pluridisciplinaire, with our Vietnamese colleagues, with Vietnamese doctors. So the two hospitals, before there is patient traffic, are working together on clinical cases, getting ready, getting customized with the different ways of treating patients in the two different countries. There's also a cultural aspect, and it's nice to have the teams working together before patients even arrive. So that's just an example.
Thank you. Yes, I don't know if we can. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. In the field of mental health, what could you provide as for an hospitalization or following treatment? Do you have anything to provide from France? I gave the example of Emirati, who has, refractory depression or a severe OCD or sometimes substance use disorders. They want to go outside. So what France can provide to this kind of clientele? Thank you.
Problem of the treatment of patients with mental health is going to be the language barrier, from my point of view. We need to treat a local patient in his native mother tongue language. So we have to keep this in mind if we want to treat, especially for substance abuse. We know that we have a lot of countries around the region, Jordan, Egypt, where the Khaliji, the Gulf patients are treated, and if France wants to go on this field, definitely we need to have some Arabic speaker among not only the psychiatrists but also among the health allied that are gonna take care of the patient for the whole pathway.
Thank you. Yes, you can. I'm not sure it's working. Yeah. Maybe I'm sorry because I don't know if you can hear the question. Yes, okay, because it's just me, but it's really Okay. Sorry.
You can't hear it. I'm very convinced that France is very advanced in medicine, but as a foreigner who will come to France to treat, say, cancer for several months, my first fear is the language. So to follow up from this gentleman's question, I will not expect the doctor and the nurses, everyone that take care of me, to be speaking Chinese or English. So how do you overcome that? And my second question is capacity. How much capacity does, like, the private hospitals you represent has to take care of overseas patients? I mean, do you have an allocation? How do you deal with that?
Okay, I'll let you answer maybe.
So maybe for the first question related to the translation, or well, usually there's an organization to take care of this language issue, obviously, because you need, when you undertake a long treatment, to be able to communicate with the doctors and also with the support functions that are going to be with you. So we have translators that we work with on a regular basis that are working within the hospital. That can be the translator between the patient and the doctor, and the patient and the nurse for each rendezvous or each appointments, and to try to explain what's going to be done. So we have specific translators that are trained both on the medical aspect and on the language, obviously. And then we have people that can translate during the day-to-day life of the patient, because if he's going to be in France for 3 months or 4 months, so it's not only the meetings with the doctors where translation is needed, but it's also in everyday life for administrative issues, for a lot of different things. So obviously there are some communities in France where people usually find friends or relatives. China, for example, we have a Chinese community in France, so usually when we have patients coming from China for many months for cancer treatment, because we treat quite a few patients from China for cancer in France. They come, so we provide all the translation for the doctors, but very quickly also they found themselves in the community and they meet friends in Paris.
But I'm talking about sick people, so I will not be going out and about, or if I go to Lambert's Hospital in Normandy, I'm not out there to meet friends. I mean, it's your cost analysis. Is it the cost, the translator, for the patient to take?
Well, is the cost, sorry?
Built in.
No, yeah, it's part of the service today. Today, all the hospitals in France that want to develop the international activities, they all provide a service for translation, which is available to the patient during the complete care pathway, whatever the language is.
To complete, we are not saying there that all French hospitals will welcome foreign patients. It's not true. It's not possible. So some hospitals will do that. I don't know how many, but some. And when you speak, and so when we say that, by example, in Saint Joseph, we need partnerships, because I think we know how to do our profession, our medicine, and we need partnership with, by example, C3 Medical, because there are something that they can do better than us, and so we are close on the contracts with patients. Second thing, you ask us for capacity. By example, in 2019 is the last year of reference. On 90,000 stays, we had 900 patients, abroad patients. So I think we are able to go to 1,500 or maybe 2,000. You see, it's 1% or maximum 2%. And that we know to do this. When we have host 1,500 patients, it's very important. It's very important capacity. And so you have the structures to do that. If I would say to you, I will have 100 patients, don't come. It's not serious. We have to do so many to have the know-how and to be able to do that. In the better, it's a world competition, and we have to be, and we are ranked by Newsweek in this competition. And to be in this competition, we have to provide high-level services.
Thank you. I'm sorry we don't have time for another question, but thank you very much for your attention, and thank you all the speakers for your very interesting point of view and intervention. So thank you very much.